A turning point on the front. The armed forces of Ukraine are cutting off Crimea and Donbass. Putin's knees tremble from what he heard. Ukraine's mega operation has started. The line of contact is erupting with powerful strikes. ATACMS and SCALP missiles have turned enemy positions into ashes. The strikes near Donetsk have become a true disaster for Russian forces. Massive fires, thundering explosions, and shocking footage spreading across the internet. And that's not all. Ukrainian forces are striking targets in Crimea, putting the occupied peninsula on edge as it waits for the next blow. At the same time, Ukrainian military intelligence has halted a Russian advance near Zaporizhzhia. The front is cracking, Russian generals are panicking, and the enemy is burning under precise Ukrainian strikes. So let's talk about it. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. Maria Farafonova here with the latest updates. The front is heating up. Ukrainian forces are tearing into the enemy in the Zaporizhzhia direction. Units of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, together with the defense forces, have stopped an offensive by the Russian army in their area of responsibility. Intelligence officers report that for 3 months, fighters of the Timur Special Unit carried out a complex defensive operation in the Zaporizhzhia sector to disrupt the occupiers' offensive plans and prevent them from advancing toward the regional center. During the operation, more than 300 Russian occupiers were eliminated and another 39 were taken prisoner. With precise drone and artillery strikes, Ukrainian intelligence units are systematically restricting the aggressors' logistics, forcing Russian troops to increasingly abandon assault operations.
The actions of the special forces made it possible to stabilize the defense on advantageous lines for Ukrainian defenders and secure Zaporizhzhia.
The liberation of the occupied territories has begun. Explosions thundered over Donbass. In the area of Donetsk airport, ATACMS and SCALP missiles struck a storage, preparation and launch site for Shahed drones. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports a massive fire and secondary detonations at the site. In addition, a Russian UAV command post was hit near Dubrova in the Luhansk region, a command and observation post near Kruhlakivka in the Kharkiv region, artillery systems at firing positions near Tavilzhanka in the Kharkiv region, Voskresenka and Novopavlivka in the Donetsk region, as well as concentrations of enemy manpower near Novogorivka and Zaliznychne in the temporarily occupied Zaporizhzhia region, Tursky in the Donetsk region, and Sopych in the Sumy region. It was also loud in temporarily occupied Crimea. The occupiers did not expect this. Units of the Ukrainian Navy, together with the Special Operations Forces, carried out a powerful raid. 3 Russian Panzer S-1 anti-aircraft missile and gun systems were struck, and 1 mobile fire group of the enemy was eliminated. In Novozerne, a Russian high-speed landing craft of Project 02510 BK-16 was hit. The occupiers' military infrastructure at the Kirovsky airfield was also struck. A storage site for Orion strike reconnaissance drones was hit there, and 4 control stations for these drones were completely destroyed. Another rich catch for the armed forces of Ukraine. A very important aerial target has been shot down. The occupiers' military aviation is going through difficult times. Ukrainian defenders are massively destroying their aircraft, and with the machines, highly trained pilots as well. All the details in the report.
On the late night of March 5th, the Ukrainian Navy, working in close coordination with Specialized Operations Forces units, successfully struck the Sivash drilling platform located in the Black Sea, where various Russian military units were currently stationed.
This platform was used by the enemy as an observation post, a communications relay point, and a site for deploying electronic warfare and short-range air defense systems with the purpose of controlling strike UAVs that were aimed at attacking the infrastructure of Odessa and Mykolaiv regions and posed a threat to civilian shipping. As a result of the combat operations carried out by maritime unmanned drones and aerial unmanned vehicles, enemy command and communication assets were struck, and significant personnel losses were inflicted.
The armed forces of Ukraine have also successfully managed to destroy a Russian Kamov Ka-27 military helicopter while it was attempting to perform a landing on the offshore drilling platform.
We regularly drive the Russians out of there as part of our planned operations, but this time the events unfolded much more dramatically for them, because now even if someone is still left on one of those platforms, they will have to wait a long time for evacuation, and it will be much more difficult precisely because the landing site is now blocked by the destroyed helicopter. The Ukrainian Defense Forces used various means: drones, unmanned boats, and also operated from the air. The approach was carefully planned, taking into account the types of weapons present there. The helicopter was shot down as it was landing, and all the equipment there was damaged. They used that tower for signal relay and electronic warfare suppression.
2 weeks ago, the defense forces destroyed 2 more Russian helicopters using strike drones, a multi-purpose Mi-8 and an attack K-52. The Russian birds were attacked at the Pugachevka airfield in the Oriol region.
It is likely that the Russians are using this site as a forward airfield for a combined helicopter unit tasked with intercepting Ukrainian long-range UAVs. The destroyed multipurpose Mi-8 helicopter, tail number 53, belonged to the 319th Separate Helicopter Regiment based in Chernigovka, Primorsky Krai, Russia. The Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopter, tail number 18, belonged to the 16th Army Aviation Brigade, located in Zernograd, Rostov region.
Ukrainian systematic attacks on airfields and locations where Russian aviation is based have revealed that the occupiers have serious problems, a shortage of pilots. Ukrainian forces are increasingly succeeding in striking Russian aircraft right on the ground. In other words, the Kremlin simply doesn't have enough pilots to relocate planes and helicopters. The effectiveness of Ukrainian drone strikes has also increased significantly.
Preemptive actions are more effective than trying to counter these assets once they're already in the air. We see this thanks to technological advancements, the adoption of new types of weaponry, and the modernization of old ones, as well as the training of maintenance personnel.
According to open sources, the deaths of about 110 combat aircraft pilots and more than 150 attack and transport helicopter pilots have been confirmed. That is, the total losses among Russian pilots since the beginning of the full-scale invasion amount to at least 260 pilots. And this does not include accidents and incidents that have occurred with Russian aviation on the territory of Russia itself.
Ukraine is closing the sky over the Middle East. Our developments from recent years in the field of air defense are heading to save the powerful and wealthy countries of the Persian Gulf from Iranian missiles and drones. Details in our report.
Ukraine is becoming part of the Middle East security system. Shooting down Shaheds turned out to be more difficult than the Americans expected. And the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, together with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, are openly saying this. They admitted that Iranian Shaheds are a bigger problem than initially expected because the drones fly low and slow and can evade air defense systems better than ballistic missiles. While countries in the region are trying to defend themselves against Iranian strike UAVs, it is precisely Ukraine's experience in countering Shaheds that is becoming critically important for its allies.
The drone and missile attacks that Iran is now using are, in essence, a new kind of warfare technique. When your conventional air defense systems are overloaded with cheaper drones and then ballistic missiles come in afterward, there is no single wonder weapon against this. What you need is a functioning system. In Ukraine, this system has been built up over years.
According to the Financial Times, the United States and at least one Gulf state are already in talks to purchase Ukrainian interceptor drones. They plan to use them to defend against Iranian Shahed UAVs, which Tehran has stockpiled by the tens of thousands and is actively deploying in the region. The reason for the interest in Ukrainian systems is not only their effectiveness but also their cost. A single Iranian Shahed costs about $30,000, whereas a Patriot interceptor missile costs more than $13 million. Ukrainian interceptor drones are several times cheaper and have already proven their effectiveness in the war against Russia.
All of this needs to be set up, arranged in echelons, prioritized, and coordinated. This is exactly what they lack, because they have no experience in this.
It was Ukraine that was the first to begin mass deployment of serially produced interceptor drones costing only a few $1,000s to destroy Russian versions of Shaheds, which are regularly launched in waves at Ukrainian cities and infrastructure.
It is precisely for this experience, so that we can help make this system as effective as possible in a shorter time frame, that I think our specialists are being brought in.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed Kyiv's readiness to share its experience with the Middle East, and even its means of intercepting Iranian drones.
They want our expertise. We are open. If the representatives come, we will provide our expertise. All the more so since there are requests from Europeans and from the United States of America. We are receiving requests to share our experience with partners from the Middle East.
In return, Kyiv hopes to receive what Ukraine itself desperately lacks: missiles for the Patriot air defense systems.
We ourselves are at war, and I said quite frankly, we have a shortage of what they have. They have missiles for the Patriot, but with Patriot missiles, they won't be able to shoot down hundreds or thousands of Shaheds. It's expensive. For people, nothing is spared. That's clear. But they simply don't have that many missiles, so they need interceptor drones, which we have. And we have a shortage of PAC-2 and PAC-3 missiles. Therefore, if we talk about exchanging technologies, exchanging weapons, I think our country will be open to this.
Iran continues to carry out chaotic strikes on the countries of the Persian Gulf. In particular, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and Oman are under attack. Moreover, Tehran is also striking military facilities in other European countries. Among them are Germany, France, and the United Kingdom.
We need active stories where we are integrating into the European space, where we act together with Europe, and Europe sees that we are an asset, that we are a powerful, let's put it this way, reinforcement, a strengthening. And these are new technologies. I honestly think that the long-term benefits of regional unification are actually much more important than the potential new risks we might face directly from Iran and its influence.
Ukraine has once again proven Kyiv is an essential ally for European countries. Even with limited resources, Ukrainian experience and technology are capable of protecting not only its own cities, but also ensuring the security of allies on the other side of the planet.
In 4 years of occupation, the Russians have turned the captured part of the Zaporizhzhia region into a depressed territory with a declining economy. Even local collaborators who once sided with the enemy and expected unprecedented prosperity from the arrival of the Russian world now admit this. We will show what real life under the Russians looks like.
This is the city of Berdyansk in the Zaporizhzhia region in 2022.
Go home. 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 Go home.
In the already occupied city, people came out to protest and chanted that Berdyansk is Ukraine. And this is the city of Dnipro-Rudne. The locals came out to meet the Russian tanks. Glory to Ukraine!
To the heroes. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.
People did not want to see Russia in their region, but Putin gave the order.
The incorporation of our region into the Russian Federation opened a new chapter in the history of the region.
This is how, for the 5th year now, part of the Zaporizhzhia region has been under occupation.
Thank you very much. We haven't seen anything like this in 35 years. And as a native of Melitopol, who has lived there all my life, I can say that the former Ukraine never did this and never paid so much attention. And today we are fully aware that we are now the face of Russia, we are now the outpost of Russia, of the Russian world.
In 2026, Russian propaganda media boast about underground command posts of the Russian Federation Army in the Zaporizhzhia region.
They call it metro-style construction. Kilometers of tunnels have been dug.
Well, we dug even deeper, just to make it completely so to speak, entirely safe.
Exactly how many meters is that directly above us?
There's another 3 meters above.
And what's there? Concrete slabs?
There are concrete slabs, plus additional coverings.
Victory mania on the screens, while collaborators are no longer shy and openly admit that on the Ukrainian territories occupied by Putin, it's lawlessness like in the 90s.
Right now, over there, it's like the 90s for us. We need to understand that, right?
Like, you mean in those 4 regions?
Yes, right now it's like the 90s.
Rogov called for Russia, helped the occupiers seize the Zaporizhzhia region, and now on camera, he talks about how the invaders have started systematically looting abandoned homes under the pretext of inventory checks. Activists are documenting cases of household appliances, furniture, and other valuables being confiscated.
Across the 4 regions, there are several 100,000 people who have either been deceived or are close to losing their own assets. Everything's been stripped bare. This word obeskosit, or going back to the slang of the 90s, means to squeeze out, you know? In other words, just to rob.
The liberators arrived and life started to really take off. Well, right on the head.
So the concept of squeezing out, the gangster version, raiding, right?
Crimson jackets.
Well, everything looks nice on the surface and they can say all the right things. No.
We just had crimson jackets, you know, those new Russians.
But in their hearts, they're still wearing crimson. If they had the chance, they'd put them on. But here, they've got the right badge. A membership card from the right party, right? And the ways to rob? Well, there are several ways to rob in Zaporizhzhia region specifically.
An honest way to take money.
112. In Zaporizhzhia region, there are exactly 112 ways. Those who know will understand. 112 ways of completely honest expropriation, yes, of people's property.
And instead of helping people, Belitsky promotes Putin's projects, talking about the second stage of the Zaporizhzhia Heroes project.
A regional project as part of the large-scale initiative of our president, Vladimir Putin.
19 traitors took part in it, brought in from quasi-republics like the DPR, military turncoats, figures and activists.
The Zaporizhzhia Heroes program is the foundation upon which our defenders, participants in the special military operation, and combat veterans will stand.
They are even ready to send their own teachers into exile.
They want to send us, teachers from Berdyansk, to work in the Far East.
The population has also been left without medical care.
The governor's people want to shut down the Melitopol Regional Oncology Dispensary.
They are forcibly assigned to doctors from Russia. Problems with prescriptions and providing assistance start immediately because there aren't enough doctors.
Rogov describes in detail and at length how Russia is driving out residents of the occupied territories, how it doesn't let them return home, how it seizes, appropriates, and essentially robs and steals their property. And it's no longer possible to write this off as enemy propaganda. No one will say that this was made up by Denis Kazansky or anyone else. No, this is being said by a collaborator, a Zed supporter, yes, a person who directly participated in this Russian aggression against Ukraine, who for some time worked in the occupation administration of the Zaporizhzhia region.
A communal collapse continues in Berdyansk. The heating was turned off throughout the entire winter.
There's no electricity, no water, and often no gas, right? So, well, it's quite hard to survive.
The occupiers kept shifting the blame onto each other.
Work is being done to support the residents of the city of Polohi, who have now found themselves in a difficult situation.
Not only are the residents of Berdyansk receiving bills for centralized heating even though they have their own, it turned out that individual heating systems are prohibited by law in the Russian Federation. And the owners of the Berdyansk heating network from Yaroslavl simply decided to make some money.
Who is responsible for the roads in Zaporizhzhia region? The roads in Zaporizhzhia region are managed by the governor's son-in-law's father. And who is the Minister of Sports of Zaporizhzhia region? The son-in-law. And who is responsible for information and so on in the department? The niece. Well, something's not right. Is it really possible that in a region with 1.5 million people there just isn't anyone else?
Is this unique to Zaporizhzhia?
This is the case in all the new territories.
In the temporarily occupied Vasilivka in Zaporizhzhia region, people are forced to enjoy the new benefits of civilization. The basement of their house is flooded with sewage. Russia is also robbing the farmers. A once fertile region has become unprofitable.
Can you believe that in such a fertile land, such an incredibly rich region, people were forbidden to take anything out beyond the region's borders because you had to get a special permit, a card, red, green, yellow, and so on. It's quite complicated. And without the card, you can't take anything out anywhere. In other words, artificial obstacles were being created.
Today, the Sea of Azov is an example of how war and occupation can become a catalyst for an environmental crisis. You can't even use the fish for food. The situation with aid is no better. Evacuated people are being brought into occupied Tokmak in the Zaporizhzhia region, and humanitarian aid is being distributed at the expense of local residents. This is how Russian propagandists turn aid into a tool of control and manipulation.
This humanitarian aid, down to the last package, is intended for this specific category of people. All these people, are living with an open wound. They had everything, they possessed it all. And now, by the will of Ukraine, by the will of Ukraine's rulers, they have lost it all.
Hand-picked judges deprive people of their freedom for comments on social media. This man simply spoke out harshly about Russian citizens and he was given 6 years. In addition to unlawful sentences, crime is also on the rise in the occupied part of the Zaporizhzhia region. One of the latest incidents is the deliberate murder of 2 civilians committed by servicemen of the Russian Federation in the city of Primorsk near Berdyansk. No one was punished. And this is only a small part of what is happening under occupation. The locals are increasingly hating Russia and the Russian world it has brought.
That's all for now. Stay with us to be the first to know what's happening right now. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you soon.